Alfred Pennyworth is the next unpopular opinion character I decided to go with. I wanted to go with a little bit of a curveball. Instead of going with your typical superhero character or a supervillain, I instead wanted to go the route of the most famous butler of all time. Now, what's great about these characters is how many different opinions or feelings that people might have about them. But the one for Alfred that seems to be a current one is how many people don't like the fact that he was recently killed. Now, we probably will get into that comment eventually, but as per usual, let's get into the first comment and see what you guys have to say. The first comment is going to be from Gotham Knight, who says, Alfred is the single most important ally of Batman, no competition. In most adaptations, he trained him to some extent. He's always there for him. He's most often the one to keep Batman grounded in life, and he's the only one you can count on seeing in nearly every piece of Batman media. That is beyond truth. If there is a word that can perfectly encapsulate the highest epitome of truth, that's what this comment is. Alfred is there through the good and the bad. He's there through the sad and the happy. He's there for the terrible and the great. He is there through every moment of Bruce Batman's journey. Even if there are times and moments where Alfred does not agree what Bruce does with his life or with his decisions as Batman, whatever it may be, he will always look past his own differences and support Bruce in what Bruce believes is best for him. I mean, we see so many interpretations where Alfred does not like what he does. He doesn't like the fact that he took up this cowl and has decided to take a life of pain and fighting crime every single day of his life. But he still supports Bruce in what he does, because at the end of the day, he doesn't want Bruce to be alone. And even though Bruce did have parents that he loved, Alfred, in a lot of ways, sees Bruce as his own son. He will do anything for him. Caleb, he is the one character that should not die for character development or motivation. He deserves a peaceful death for the sake of himself and everything he has done for the Bat family and for the sake of the Bat family. They've lost too much already. And I mean, the death of Alfred possibly being from the hands of a Batman villain, it would certainly scrounge up a lot of motivation for Batman, but I 100% agree with you. I don't think Alfred's death is very necessary. Once again, I'm a very open-minded person. You can give me a story about nearly anything with these characters. I will hear you out, I will listen, and hell, I'll read it, play the game, watch the movie. I don't care. As long as at the end of the day, the story resonates with me, or I understand what you're doing with the story, I'll accept it. But I 100% understand what you're saying here. Alfred is just one of those characters who I believe over the years of development he has had, he doesn't necessarily deserve the harshest of deaths. I don't necessarily think anybody should really be knowing who Alfred is to target him either, unless someone finds out Batman is Bruce Wayne. But we've seen many interpretations where Batman has been figured out to be Bruce Wayne and they try to attack the ones he loves, and Alfred always comes out walking. Look at Arkham Origins, when Bane attacks the Batcave. Alfred still, sure, gets hurt, but walks out of it. Batman Begins, when Ra's al Ghul assaults Wayne Manor and they go crash landing into the underground Batcave, where they're battered and injured from the house fire. Still walks out of it. You know, there are ways to attack Alfred, and might I even say hurt Alfred, without needing to kill him. Alfred should be the type of character who, no matter how bad things get, he should be the center of Bruce Wayne. The best way, I think, to maybe kill Alfred off is how they actually handled it in The Dark Knight Returns, where he simply just has a heart attack. He's getting too old, and, you know, eventually the curse of humanity catches up with everybody. Amaze says, I liked how he was handled in Batman Earth 1. Leaning into his past military history and having him not be afraid to kill villains in the first volume to protect Bruce as well as physically confront him to make sure that he's ready. The Earth 1 series is fantastic. I think it's one of the best origin type stories for Batman out there. And that is my favorite type of Alfred. My favorite Alfred of all time is, believe it or not, Jeremy Irons, because he reminds me of an Alfred who did have that military military background. He is a bit more of a hardened man, but he does bring in that flavor of your OG sassy butler. He is like a mix of both worlds, but you just know Jeremy Irons' Alfred can take care of himself. If someone broke into that Batcave, you know he'd whip out a shotgun and strap a pistol to his waist, and he'd absolutely be able to handle himself. And maybe that's why I actually like Jeremy Irons' Alfred so much, is because Earth 1 is a huge inspiration off of that hardened type of Alfred who still understands that he is a butler and a caretaker for Bruce Wayne. I love that part in that comic book where he just sweeps Bruce off of his feet and literally beats him in a one-on-one. The thing about Alfred with killing is he's the only one in the Bat family who has the rule stripped away from him. If he chooses to kill, if he needs to kill, Bruce knows it's going to be in self-defense and defense for everything they've built up over the years. Alfred can, will, and has no problem doing it. That iteration, that type of Alfred, is my favorite. Dogs don't. I love Alfred, but I was so disappointed with the way he died. I actually liked Tom King's run despite his many flaws, but Alfred's death really never felt right. I felt like he didn't die for much of a reason. It felt very out of nowhere. He didn't even really die to protect someone or something. It was just a plot device to further Damian's character. I respect that they committed to his death, but I think it's about time he came back. I don't really read too much of the brand new DC stuff. I just find it gets really annoying with how many continuity changes they love to do every couple of years. But I have read a couple of things, especially the one where they do kill Alfred, and some of Tom King's stuff is very hit and miss. But killing Alfred with Bane like that felt so morbid. And I do like very dark storytelling. That's my thing. The way they did it is just so disheartening, and it does make you ask the question, but why? Because like you said, he doesn't really die for anything or anyone. So I agree, killing Alfred is already going to be a questionable thing to do within a comic book, but killing him the way they did is where it really hurts. But what I do also agree with here is the fact that you respect they've kept him dead for so long. Look, in this world of comic books, nobody stays dead. Nobody stays dead long either. When they die, they usually come back within a couple of issues. Or when they die, there's already a plan to bring them back. The surprise is just, when are you going to bring them back? I do like it when they do kill characters and say, absolutely not, it is over. But not having Alfred be by Bruce Wayne's side feels a little bit weird. And I'm gonna be honest with you, not having Alfred by Bruce Wayne's side would be a tipping point that, in my opinion, would turn Batman into a cold-blooded killer. Holly Jolly. He's guilty for making Bruce Batman and helping a child start a path into violence. I wish they would explore that more. Also, he should be just as badass as Batman with fighting skills. This is actually a really interesting comment because it kind of goes back into what I was saying earlier about the fact that even when Bruce does things that Alfred doesn't agree with, Alfred loves him so much, he will always support him, he will always be by his side, he'll always help him. But I think there is a conversation to be had here. Maybe Alfred should have been a little more stern and said, listen kid, you ain't gonna travel the world for over 7-8 years, learn every fighting style in history, come back and be a Cape Crusader. You're not going to put your body on the line just to have nights where I fear you might not return because you got shot and you're not coming back. Someone brutally tortured you and you're not coming back. These crazy superpowered villains that only started to prop up when you became Batman ended up getting their hands on you and killing you in some terrible fashion. There is a certain level of support here, and you're right, maybe there should be a conversation on why Alfred allowed this to happen and why he went through with it. Of course, there is probably no way he knew that when he came back, Bruce wanted to become this symbol of fear for Gotham City, that he was going to dress up as this terrifying bat and use gadgets, technology, and fighting skills from all over the world and his own company to defeat the worst form of criminality in Gotham. But there is a point to be made here that Alfred maybe could have spotted some specific signs that make you feel uneasy about a person's path, and maybe you could kind of pull them back a little bit and refine the decisions they're about to make. Tommy Johnson, he needs to feel like he did something wrong for Bruce to turn out as Batman. Another really good point, and it goes back to what I was just saying. I do believe in the New 52 they made Alfred question a lot of his judgment on why Bruce Wayne is Batman, if maybe it was his fault he drove him to this place. Also, with realizing that maybe Alfred made a mistake, and maybe it is because of his upbringing with Bruce after his parents' death. He didn't do enough to take Bruce Wayne away from this path. I think there does come a point in time where a great interpretation of Batman is actually Michael Caine's, specifically in The Dark Knight Rises, where he says, look, you've done this far enough. I should have done more to help you and protect you. You also need to realize when your time is up, you cannot keep doing this anymore. It's time to be Bruce Wayne and to put your efforts into helping this city as Bruce Wayne, not Batman. And potentially seeing an Alfred who finally puts his foot down, of a Bruce who's been Batman for a long time, basically saying, if you do not stop, I will walk. This is my fault, but I need you to see how much of a bad idea being Batman is. It's really interesting. Pies says, I don't know how unpopular this is, but I like him more than any of the Robins, and I think he is essential to Batman as a story. I agree with this, because realistically, without Batman, there is no Robins, but without Alfred, there is, at the very least, no version of Batman as we know him. He might be something completely different, or he might be Batman, but with very different reasonings and skills and possibly even a purpose. Alfred is there for Bruce before his parents are killed, after his parents are killed, to begin his crime-fighting career as Batman, and he will be there for as long as possible until, once again, the curse that all humans carry naturally comes for him. Miles Robinson says, I wish he was a former assassin or special forces with elite martial arts and tactical knowledge, giving him a pass with Ra's al Ghul, right-hand man, or best assassin, but he feels bad about his past and wants Bruce to be better than him. Maybe make it so Alfred's trying to correct his karma through Batman. Also, Bruce could hide that he trained with Ra's in this hypothetical situation so he wouldn't anger Alfred. This version of Batman could be extremely brutal by consistently putting people in critical condition or coma, but not death. That's actually a really cool idea and something I would love to see in an Elseworld story, or maybe even something you could put in more of a canon light with a good enough story to convince everybody. I mean, I like brutal Batman. I like when Batman maybe goes a little too far. Like you said, not death, but he will ensure that he'll break your legs bad enough where you're gonna have to take the next 2 years to learn how to walk again. If you're gonna be a criminal, that's what's gonna happen to you. And having Alfred have a close-knit relationship with Ra's al Ghul from the past would be awesome. You could now see how Alfred feels about what the League does, what their purpose is, how he feels about the Lazarus Pit, what Batman will have to do and focus on if he hopes to beat Ra's and the League. There is so much you could play around with there in that type of story. That is something I would definitely like to see. So as per usual, here is my unpopular opinion on Alfred. I think in the future, whether it's a story where Bruce is older, he's still Batman, and Alfred died of natural causes, if it's Terry McGinnis and Batman Beyond, if it is a son who's taken over the mantle of Batman years in the future, no matter what story you give me, whoever the next Batman is, if there is another Batman, I think Alfred should always be there. And how is that possible? Well, it's not through the Lazarus Pit or any longer life type of antidote or situation. It's not through an android humanoid cyborg or a robot body. It is simply the voice of Alfred. The way Tony Stark has Jarvis, Batman now has an AI voice assistant who sounds and basically is the memories of Alfred. If you look at it from the example of Batman Beyond, I don't believe he necessarily has like a butler assistant. He doesn't have an Alfred. You could now give him literally Alfred through AI. He sounds like him, he talks like him, he acts like him, he even has all his memories from his past life when he worked along with Bruce Wayne. In a way, you could even make it where Alfred even knows he's now an AI. He knows he died a long time ago. I think that would be really cool so that the future Batman could have just as good of a support system the way Bruce Wayne did. But there you go, everyone. There are the unpopular opinions on the character of Alfred Pennyworth. So now, as per usual, everyone, put some more unpopular opinions about the character in the comments below if you didn't get the chance to do it on the community post. And also keep an eye on the community post, as I will be posting the next picture of the next character we will be doing. So with that being said, that's all I got for you on this one. And until next time, everyone, I will talk to you all very soon.